Good evening, welcome to a late night episode of A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, we had such a great deal of comments and messages about the OFW situation and the plight of many OFWs. One particularly poignant message that we had was from one of our subscribers who said, yes, it is an OFW, it is modern slavery, and I'm one of them. And I said to her, is there anything that we can do to help? And I really meant that. And another subscriber said, yes, what can we do to help? So I don't know what we can do to help, but I'm willing to try. If there is something that we can do, then get in touch. You can. You were able to make that comment, so if there's something that we can do that you think, get a message to your family, anything at all, I'm open to it, because I care very much about the OFW situation. Now, OFWs, if you are not familiar with this term, this may be the first time that you've looked in on something about OFWs, and I particularly wanted this message to be as a special message to OFWs, so that if any OFW, that's an overseas Filipino worker, is out there and wants to give this information, please do share this message, share this video, so that we can enlighten a few people who may be considering going out as an OFW to especially one of the Arab countries. In particular, one that, as some of our subscribers have already warned, anywhere where Sharia law is practiced, because it is a fact, unfortunately, that women do not have anything like the rights that they would be used to in this country, which they often, the Philippines, which they often fail to understand how great this country is. And I'm a great believer in this country, and I'm a great believer in the Filipino people and their ability to be so resilient and resourceful in surviving the most horrendous situations. But I would prefer that people don't have to survive and endure these situations. And when we talk about situations, we're talking about very basic rights, like being able to go out. In a lot of cases, apparently, as one of our subscribers, we've had a lot of information shared with us about this. And as one person actually said, the Filipina may be locked in her bedroom at night, not because they don't trust the Filipino, but they may not trust the husband. And in a way, it's a way to protect the Filipina while maintaining the integrity of what may be a not so good marriage. You are at risk when you go to a country where freedom is not the same definition as you are used to in the Philippines, where people walk free. It is a fact that people walk free here, and it is a fact that in seeking to be extremely responsible for their family, women especially, not just women of course, but women are the most at risk of abuse. I mean, that unfortunately is a case. And they go and whereas men make sacrifices, women can often be sacrificing themselves. And I say that in all sincerity, because you are at the mercy of an employer as soon as you go. Now, just a couple of things that I thought that you might be able to do if you're determined to go. You might be able to prepare for a worst case scenario. You should try to research the agency that you are going to, and it's that old English saying, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So you try to research the reputation of the agency, and in passing, don't make a big thing of it, but make it seem like a big thing, even though it is. What can they give you by way of recommendations from other Filipinos who have gone out to various countries and had a good time, have maintained good employment, earned their wages, been able to send home for their family, and have come back without having been abused either physically or mentally or verbally, none of that, and they've been able to have a good time. That's great, and we're very happy about that. And if you can go through with an agency who are aware of the risks that you take and will counsel you on how to avoid them. Now, I would have thought, from what I've found out from people who have had some experience, personal experience, where either their girlfriends have gone or wives or something like that, associates, family members, and are not able to easily get back word, or they won't get back some word. Sorry, I thought I could hear somebody at the door there, but it's far too late for that. It's 11:30. So if your freedoms are so severely curtailed and you are being abused and you've still got 18 months to go and no way of getting out of that contract because you can't walk the streets, then you may resist the urge to get in touch with your family because you just plain don't want to upset them and worry them. So you endure. In other words, you sacrifice yourself. But if you can get away, usually one of the blocks that Filipinos have about getting away is that they've had their passport taken from them. And this is in the guise of, well, your employer says, give me your passport because I have to get you registered. So apparently that is one of the reasons that you are given to give up your passport. You should never really give up your passport, but in an atmosphere of trust, then that would be okay, wouldn't it? But unfortunately, it's one way where they can guarantee in their minds that you will not make it out the front door or the back door. How can you avoid that and have some evidence of who you are and that you are there legally? Well, your passport will be stamped. It will have some kind of a visa in it. Mine does, and I have to get that visa renewed every couple of months at the moment until, well, I now have a balikbayan visa, but that's me and nothing to do with this case of OFWs. But it seems to me that it's an excellent thing to do to protect yourself, to have a photocopy made of your passport with your entry. You can't have it with your entry probably, but you can have it done here and have it notarized as being true, and keep that in your possession and don't let anybody take that from you. And if they don't know that you have it, then they won't take it from you. And then if your passport goes, at least if you can get out the back door, and I'm not trying to fill you full of fear, only full of caution, because we brag that this is a feel-good channel, and I think that forearming people about a possible dangerous situation should feel good, and it does to me, and I hope it helps. So find out if there is a place that you can go to where they will help you. And apparently I've heard that the Philippine government are setting up places in certain countries where Filipinos can go if they're in need of help and in need of support. Well, if you have nothing else but the clothes on your back and a photocopy which has been notarized of your passport, then you're in good shape compared to those who have nothing but the clothes on their back. So at least think it through, that there is a trapdoor that you can get through, okay, instead of a trap that will keep you there. I wish you luck if you insist on going out to a country where freedoms for women are not a common thing, even for the women that are native to that nation. So think it through. Now, something that may help you if you can do this. When I was talking once to a young woman who had, I think, either 2 or 3 children, in other words, a family, which she was supporting herself in a local hardware store, which I used to go in a lot. And I was talking to her and she said, "So when are you going back to America?" And I said, "I'm not going back to America." "Why? Why would you not want to go back to America?" "Well, because I'm happy here and I feel that this is my home now." And she said, I said, "Well, I suppose that you're Filipina, you would love to go to America." "Yes, I would." "Why?" "Because I would earn a lot of money." So what we did, I said, "Get a paper and a pencil and let's sit down together for a moment." And we sat down and we went through all of the things that she earned. What do you earn? We put down what she earned, and then, no, what's your expenses? What's your rent, and what's the power, and food, and clothing for the kids, school supplies, transport, and perhaps even a little for entertainment. We added all of that up, and actually it turned out that even with a fairly modest wage and hard work here in the Philippines, she actually was able to save a little. So I said, "Okay, now let's have a look at what you would do if you were in America." And we went through her situation if she was in America, and we said, supposing you were earning minimum wage in, say, McDonald's, a good company, good job, clean, well organized, and very possibly you would really enjoy doing that. They're very well trained on all of the script that they do, and even if you're not absolutely perfect on English, you can learn the script and you can learn it off by heart, and you will be able to do your job. So you can actually work, but it usually is minimum wage, which at the last count, and that is, I admit that this is like 4 years ago, it was something like about $8 or $8.50. Now, to this young woman, $8, what, an hour? I said, "Well, yes." And I said, "And if you work a 40 or maybe 48-hour week," then we worked out simple maths. This is what you would have at the end of the week. Now, let's look at what your costs would be. What would your expenses be? Now, before you even send any money home, what would your expenses be? Well, you'd have to have a cell phone. You'd have to have water and power. You'd have to have a car, or at least access to sharing the costs with someone else, or you'd have to get a bicycle or something, or do a lot of walking. But anyway, that's not an easy thing, because unless you live in one of the big cities like New York or Chicago or somewhere like that, there is no easy public transport. It's just not there. Nothing like you have here in the Philippines, where you can walk out on almost any road and hail a tricycle. A tricycle will come along and quite happily take you almost anywhere that you want to go on his route for 10 or 15 pesos. Amazing. Or you can get a jeepney, and that's about the same. Go up a little bit more and you can get those suicide drivers who drive the white vans, if you've a mind and if you're very brave. But you have access to all of that, and you don't have that in, say, America. And I'm dealing with America because that's where I've come from. The last I came from was America. Before that, I was born in the UK. UK, if you live in certain areas, there will be very good public transport. let's assume that you're going good to America, because that's where she said, well, I would love to go to America. And we added up what she earned against what she paid out. And even living modestly in shared accommodation, she was in the red. So much for paradise in the US, and I suspect in the UK too. So think it through, because what you end up giving away is unity of your family and the love of your children. They may feel grateful, but they won't thank you for not being there for them. Now think about that. It seems like a contradiction, doesn't it? They're grateful for what you've done and sent money, but they don't thank you for not being their mama. That's more important to most children than money. So think about what you're doing and try to think it through as to how it really affects you, your heart, your mind, your family. Never mind even talking about the abuse that may happen if you go to any of the other Eastern countries. So this is a foreigner in the Philippines. This is a special message for OFWs, and I hope that the OFWs who are subscribed to us, and we do have quite a few, share it among your OFW friends. I know that in Hong Kong we saw hundreds of OFWs. In fact, they were the happiest people that we saw. We loved them. Of course, my wife is Filipina. But I count this as my home. I count the Filipino people as being my extended family. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Thanks for looking in, and bye. Don't forget to comment and subscribe.